It seems I got out of my work from home arrangement just in time. It's been since January last year, but right around that time, they started tearing up this street, and it was noisy all day, Monday through Friday. And it finally seems to have at least slowed down, but I don't know what is going on here. They've been doing gas pipeline work for coming up on 2 years, I think. And they're not just tearing up the streets, they're tearing up people's front yards, like right here. I mean, like, they have to get all kinds of permits to do that, but if I stay here long enough, you should hear this tremendous thud that this metal plate produces when a car goes over it. Here we go. Yeah, well, that's not as loud as it gets. There you go. That is not conducive to good night's sleep, let me tell you. Here we go again. That will drive a neighborhood absolutely insane. But on that note, I'm on my way out to New Calvary, I think, assuming I stick to plan. I don't want to make an epic 4-hour journey of this, but I saw a little blurb in a local paper that Calvary has a new celebrity burial. I'm not necessarily a fan of celebrities, but I mean, celebrity burial sites. I think seeking them out is actually kind of tacky. But Calvary is my stomping ground, so I'm going to think about it as I'm going over there. If this new arrival is actually the most famous person there, Calvary's not really known for its famous burials, or its famous people. It has some bunch of mobsters and a couple of actors and some baseball players, but I don't think there's anybody on the level of this individual. Doesn't seem like it's been a long enough time since the last time I was here. Oh, but look, there's some activity. This usually has nothing in it. High Fidelity. Nick Hornby, rather. Why does this sound familiar? Was this a movie? Did they make a movie out of this? Yeah, this does sound familiar. Well, good to see some activity at good old 14458 4. So there being any activity at the free library is certainly no guarantee that the same will be true of the nearby refrigerator, which, by the way, I think it was last time I was here, I pointed out that somebody has spray painted no food, because that is almost always the case, and that is the case today. Yep. And I think a previous time I was here, there was a box of Novena candles. Those are gone. But once again, no food. Okay, well, here I am again. That beautiful 48th Street and the Long Island Expressway. Where I'm en route to Section 67 of Fourth Calvary. bus rides I've ever been on an MTA bus. It's like totally jostled around. Anyway, to continue my thoughts about how I find it tacky to go out and seek celebrity burial sites, I stand by that assessment. As long as, if you're doing it just for the sake of web clicks, or if you're doing it with no particular respect for the person that whose burial site you're documenting. And I also think it's tacky if you're doing it to the exclusion of exploring the lives of the less known, the lives of the unknown. There's not always easy access to information on unfamous people, but it can be pretty rewarding when you can find it. I was out here some months ago and I reported this sign, and as you can see, nothing's been done. This sign, if you could read it, it would be inaccurate. It says 54th Avenue. This is actually 53rd Avenue. But let's leave that for another conversation, another discussion. So, but as far as this individual who I'm going to check in on, this was probably the most famous, among the most famous Astoria-born celebrities. The New York Times headline once said that he never left Astoria behind. His name is plastered across the Frank Sinatra School for the Arts, and that's because he played a big part in getting that school built. And if you know anything about Astoria, you already know who I'm talking about. Now, what I'm trying to think of is this going to be the most famous burial at Calvary now? Because Calvary's not really known for its so-called notables. I really hate that term because all lives are notable, but I'll just go with the lexicon. Because there have been governors, there have been baseball players, Major League Baseball players, there have been a number of silent film stars, and of course a number of mobsters and gangsters. But none of those guys were selling out Madison Square Garden. Although, with one exception, there was Patrick Sarsfield Gilmore. He's over at First Calvary. He at one time was one of the most famous musicians in the world. And he had mega concerts at Gilmore Hall, Gilmore Garden, which later became known as Madison Square Garden. But somehow his fame didn't last beyond his passing. He's history book famous. Tony Bennett, not so much. I mean, sure, he'll be history book famous, but well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the site, but I'm not going to say anything while I'm there. It just seems disrespectful for a stranger to come by and offer up commentary on someone you never really only knew from the distance. wasn't going to say anything while I'm here. But something that he said once that I really connected with, and that gave me fresh respect for him, was he said one of his greatest regrets was that he didn't do more to save Amy from killing herself. He had just the right position to do it. He was just the right person. And he just didn't do anything. He said that was among his great regrets. And I respected him for that. I don't know what's up with this, but looks like the Revel scooters are getting ready to invade. There must be like 1,000 of them back here. I mean, you're only seeing one layer. There's like 5 or 6 rows of these. I wonder why they're hiding them all back here. Maybe this is the Revel Scooter burial ground, the Revel Scooter Cemetery. Conveniently located next to a real cemetery. That's a lot of scooters. Fourth Calvary is the Calvary I know the least, and anytime I come through here, I can see why. It's just kind of a parking lot. No chapel, no character. The mausoleums that they put in were interesting, and I might go check on that as long as I'm here. Second and Third Calvary have some character, some high points. You know, they're not as flat and uniform as this. You can also see how much more crowded. If you're familiar with Old Calvary, remember that there's a lot of empty looking space, or unused looking space, but of course it's all been used for burials. It wasn't until they opened New Calvary that they started enforcing mandatory tombstone rules, mandatory markers. But even there, you can see plenty of people got away with not erecting a memorial, or maybe these are really unused spaces. I don't know. I actually helped somebody with a documentary on somebody that was buried here, and the documentary was never produced or never finished, but one of the points that they were going to make was that in the case of the one burial that they were focusing on, there was never a marker put up, and the cemetery nagged the family for like a long time to put up a freaking marker, but they never had the money to do it. And as far as I know, that burial would still be unmarked. A lot of the section signs are missing too, which made finding section 67 a little weird. But this one's missing, and I think the next 2 are also missing. Tell you what, I never would have known that the Bennett family, or the Benedetto or whatever, had a family plot here. As long as I'm over here, I guess I have to check on the D-Tex watch clock station. I said I didn't want to make like an epic day of this because I have other stuff to do, but And you can see the beautiful surroundings of Fourth Calvary and New Calvary in general. A lot of highway, that's the Long Island Expressway. And between 2nd and 3rd Calvary is the BQE. And it gets very, very loud over by this wall. I made a video of this years ago. So much for rest in peace, right? Listen to how loud this gets. So I decided against going to the D-Tex watch clock station because I don't really care, but also because the Q67 bus, which I think only comes around every half hour, was approaching the station as I turned the corner. And this happens to be the exact same bus and the exact same driver that got me over here. And this feels like it's going to be another rough ride.